been your bus contractor now for 6 years, including the time before we bought the buses in November of 2013. We appreciate the business, and we enjoy working here. We have gotten to know this district and our employees over that time, and we're committed to serving the Rushford-Peterson schools over the long term. And we've been subject to the request for proposal process, which was not anticipated when we agreed to what we understood to be a 4-year agreement 2 years ago. And we understand that's very definitely in the prerogative of the Rushford-Peterson School District, and we appreciate your interest in going through that process. And we consider ourselves to be excellent providers of school transportation. We've had no serious complaints that we're aware of to the level of service that we've provided the district. We recently enacted a 5% profit sharing plan for our drivers and our other employees here. It's been very well received by our employees. We're committed to those people as well. Over the long term, we don't want to see the service levels suffer here. We don't think the good people of Rushford-Peterson and the school district deserve that. And we're prepared today to offer you, with that in mind, and our desire to continue to be your bus operator here, we're prepared to offer you the same prices as were offered by our competitor that was offered at the RFP. We have not had a good chance to discuss that, but we want you to consider that we would continue to do the job for the prices that were offered by the other proposal. And we would hope you consider staying with us under those terms.
Thank you for your comments.
Welcome. And we thank you for your business and for your consideration.
Mr. Mills?
I don't have any public comments, it's just for, I thought I needed to write that down for action item 9.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Robertson?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, from Thailand and Air Force. School update. The project it got cleaned up on the back side of the building. It is really looking sharp right now. I believe there was a tour over the weekend. You got to take a look and see, but a lot of the grading is in place, the emergency roads, the retaining walls are being put in. Roofing is still going along like a champ. They are actually putting in wood framing and framing in skylights now. They are pouring the second floors for the slabs on grade, for the slabs on the deck for the second floor classrooms. Those are moving forward, going swell. I mean, there's been no issues at all. Everything is exactly the way it should be set up. Paving and cleanup. We stay on them. They've been championing the cause. The rain has actually helped to keep some of the streets clean. I haven't heard too much issue coming from the neighborhood on that side, just from looking at the property, looking at the building. Looks really nice. That's really not, there's really not a whole lot to update there. Actually just moving like a champion out there right now. Change order 6 is minute. It's cleanup stuff. We are We took some PCOs and did time and materials, so we could actually vet what they had priced, and we took some cost savings in there to the tune of, it was about $4,000 that we saved going on a time and material number. Change order 6 is going to roll in somewhere around $12,000. We don't have the total number vetted, but it's basically it's the time and materials issues that we're still saving. We're still tallying tickets, but that's really about it. So that's going to take us up, I believe, to the total roughly around $37,000 for the entire project right now. So we're doing really well on extra expense at this point as well. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have the consent agenda next. The June 20th, 2016 regular board meeting minutes. The June hand payables, wires, and payroll liabilities in the amount of $306,751.97. The June payroll in the amount of $328,356.50. The July board bills in the amount of $2,326,787.61. The middle school and high school activity fund reports for April through June. The hire of Jessica Ingleson as elementary/high school vocal music teacher. The hire of Sarah Meyer as ECFE teacher. The hire of Cole Kingsley as middle school football coach. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Joyce or Mr. Miller, I don't have the document right in front of me. Can you expound a little bit on the $2 million July expenditure?
There was one addition for an attorney bill that just came in.
So do you want a breakdown of the entire 2 million, or?
Well, I mean, it just seems, I've been on the board almost 9 months now. That seems a little high. Yeah, if you could hit the highlights if you would.
Okay. Yeah. The reason that number is going to be quite high is the payments that were made out, construction payment, bond payments as well. So we're looking at a $1,556,970 bill that's up for payment. So a combination of that, along with the other monthly board bills, pushes that to that 236, or the $2,326,000. So
That makes sense. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Could I just ask what, it's on page 9, towards the bottom, it's Dakota Truck Underwriters for $20,273.
Yes,
Is that insurance?
workman's comp.
Okay.
If it's appropriate, I would suggest that in the June 20th minutes, we add the word Chromebook to the reference to the initiative. I understand it's just about the Chromebooks versus, additional devices. I think that would add clarity. It's in 2 paragraphs, the paragraph where Corey presented the initiative, and then the motion that followed.
And I appreciate asking for clarity on that because it needs to be understood that the Best Buy program is providing the Chromebooks, but that students or families, if they have another device, they're free to use their personal device. They're not required to utilize Chromebooks, but you're absolutely right. The program that we're initiating with Best Buy is for Chromebooks. So it does provide clarity, so thank you for catching that.
I had a couple more questions that relate to that, and I know everybody got that email. And I think Mr. Mattson responded. But was anybody else under the impression that the $99 coupon covered the cost of the cheapest laptop? Because in the email response, it said that the 99 coupon applied to the cheapest one would bring the cheapest device to $99 out of pocket. Is that?
There's a $100 coupon that's provided
Yep,
to the
but
family. and they
it's
get-
still 99 out of pocket then for the family, for the cheap one.
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
At this time, I would like to just take a moment here before we move on to item number 7 and introduce our student representative for this coming school year. Hayden Stensgaard has chosen to attend tonight's meeting to kind of give him a foundation for this. So Hayden, welcome aboard. It's good to have you here and to be the voice of the students on the, and to serve as a school board student representative. Thank you for your willingness to do that. Thank you.
And Hayden might have gotten some training at his Boy State.
Yeah, maybe like parliamentary procedure mostly, yeah.
Hey, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a question on that, you know what, is there a mechanism or a way that they can, typically they just sit through the meetings, but is there anything that they can provide to the board? Is there a brief or just a 1 or 2 minute little update that they could provide to the board so that there's a little interaction instead of just sitting there and listen, that's what it would be.
Sure. No, that's an excellent question, and I'll take that as a suggestion and recommendation. So between Mr. Tim and myself, we'll set up a meeting with Hayden and we'll discuss some options there, because I think that's important for us to enlist what he's observing and hearing from the students as well. So I appreciate that suggestion.
I'm sure loves it too.
He's got a broad smile, so that's a good sign. So we'll try to define some duties and responsibilities for him.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
We're at number 7, under old business, to approve the second reading and adopt the following policies. Number 713, student activity accounting, 714, fund balances, and 802, disposition of obsolete equipment and material. Is there a motion to approve the second reading and adopt these policies? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? to
Aye.
approve? Any opposed? Thank you. Under new business, we have approving the first reading of the following policies. Number 413, harassment and violence. Number 414, mandated reporting of child neglect or physical or sexual abuse. Number 506, student discipline. Number 514, bullying prohibition policy. Number 522, student sex non-discrimination. Number 524, internet acceptable use and safety policy.
Paul makes a motion to approve the first reading.
One thing I'd like to bring up in regards to student discipline, and it relates to the update we got from Mr. Tim on the prank by a handful of seniors. From what I understand, it was a simple prank and nothing more, harmless. But I think when it comes to discipline, we should give our students the same discipline as our staff, the same discipline as our students. It seems like we discipline our students harder than we discipline staff.
Are there any other comments?
Yeah, on this number 8, I think there's 6 of them there. I thought on my online, when I went online and picked them off, read it, I thought there were like 12.
Yeah, we're just trying not to.
We're not trying to overload you.
Well, you did. Especially when I got them Friday night.
Okay.
So
We're taking
you
8
sent
out of
all of them and just picked some of these on out?
the ones that pertain to student related, so that we have things in place for the upcoming school year.
And are there any changes in here that are unique to Rushford Peterson, or are these generally school board association boilerplate things?
Well, on number 524, the internet acceptable use and safety policy, there's some things in there that will be unique to the one-on-one initiative. So yes, there's some things unique to that.
I made some notes while going through the first 3 of the policies, and I wonder for, in the interest of time, if I could share these with Laura and then get them out to you after that, in between our meetings.
That's very helpful.
It
when
might
you
be
do that.
cumbersome
Yeah.
to, try to just list them now. I will do that. Are there any further comments?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 200, new business. Approved change orders for the new school, change order number 6. And Mr. Robertson said that was for cleanup, time and materials, about $12,000. Is that correct, Mr. Robertson?
That's one of the PCOs. And yeah, the time and materials was for the actual explosive storage.
Okay.
That's on the perimeter of the building. That was concrete foundations that we deleted from an actual pricing proposal and did time and materials on. That was where the T&M came into play. I just closed the actual literature. One of the other issues was we're adding another layer of stain on the entrance canopy where we have our natural wood. We paid, I think it was $1,064 to add another layer, or just a deeper color for the natural wood products on the glue-lams and the beams in the front. So there's about 4 actual PCOs that are on that. The only time and materials was for the explosive room on the perimeter of the building.
And let's clarify for the board, when you say explosive room, it's by law now, we're required to store bottled gas, so that's what he's referring to.
Correct.
When he says explosives. Is any bottled gas that you have in the school has to be stored in an exterior compartment, and so this particular room he's talking about is outside of one of the shop areas on the northwest corner of the school.
Right. It's for anything, it can even be for bottled gases, it can even be categorized for paint. Anything that has a volatile nature is kept in basically it's a solid concrete room. So if something catastrophic were to happen, it's limited to a best case scenario.
Should we have a motion to?
Yes, please.
Would
So
someone
like
like
make
to
a motion to approve.
Second by Linder.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The next item, number 3, is to approve the reinstatement and hire of Tracy Smith, speech and language teacher. And we are seeking a discretionary variance for Mrs. Smith.
Thank you. We received confirmation from the state today that that has been approved, and we followed the advertisement, both local papers as well as on the school website, and did not receive any applicants. So we're in a position to offer the position back to Mrs. Smith.
Is there a motion to approve the reinstatement and hire of Tracy Smith?
All makes a motion.
Hopeful second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. What is the variance for? Why does she need a variance?
The state calls that a discretionary variance because of the fact that in speech and language, they need to have actually what is called the 3 Cs, and it's a master's degree. So they provide a discretionary variance because she is attending classes, and so they allow her the discretion to continue working towards a degree while being employed as a full-time speech and language teacher.
The other question I have is why this isn't handled under Hiawatha Valley. Seems like that would be an area that we would use their services, especially when we don't have a licensed person in that area.
Well, right now, our needs are greater than what Hiawatha Valley can provide us.
Are there any further comments? All in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed? Item number 4 is to approve the reinstatement and hire of Courtney Huffman, and this requires a regular variance.
It does, and I'm going to ask the board to, as you look at your minutes there, to cross out behind her name, it's listed ECSE, to cross out ECFE, because she will no longer be serving us as the ECFE, which is the Early Childhood Family Education teacher. So that is why you see that her full-time equivalency is approximately going to be at .873. So thank you for making that correction to your minutes here this evening. So the actual reinstatement should be for ECSE teacher, Early Childhood Special Education.
Is there a motion to approve this reinstatement and hire?
Hope will make a
Moved
motion.
by Linder.
Hope will second that.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to discuss this. Also, I'm not concerned at all with the hire, but I am concerned with, is there a variance or anything here?
Correct, there is,
There's a variance here also.
yeah.
And why would we ask for a variance when we have at least 5 teachers, or 4 teachers with early childhood special education? Why would we then ask that when we have licensed people on staff? What is Courtney's licensure other than GCSE?
She has the early childhood component, and she's working on her degree right now to secure the special education. So we've been supportive of that initiative. She's going to be 2 years into the program, so that's why we're making the recommendation to continue her in that position.
And we did non-renew, right, originally?
Correct.
And so, my point is, we have plenty of early childhood special ed teachers on staff, and why we wouldn't, and we didn't get any applications for this, is what I read in my board minutes. So if we did, why didn't we advertise for a different position where we would have gotten a lot of qualified people, and then reassign or use our managerial right to have one of the qualified teachers, and maybe even a qualified teacher that was originally hired for this position, move to that position and say another elementary teacher. I'm sure we would get applications for that of very qualified people. That's my concern with it. I know we need the 873. And, okay.
Thank you for sharing that concern.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Opposed?
Aye.
Item number 5, to approve the Silver Cord Service Project. Mr. Kim?
Yeah, thank you. It's on page 20 there, is in the packets. Just, I know that Mrs. Colquitt, Julie, sent me an email a while ago, some schools are doing that. I'd seen it to lettering for service learning, where students can get that. And I looked around, some schools are doing other things, and they're trying to find a way to recognize some of our students for the volunteering they do in the community or around school. We have a community service class where students, help out a teacher, and as part of that, they have to do, I believe, 15 hours in the community as well. So this is above and beyond that. This is for non-letter grade. This is purely, in the end, as you guys see in there, the 160 hours by the time they graduate, they get recognized with a silver cord. So we have for graduation is if they're high honor students, they get a gold cord. Our National Honor Society students get a green cord to wear as well, and this will just be another cord that they get to wear at graduation. In May, we do have our senior awards night, and we recognize and hand out the cords that night. But the senior awards night, we recognize the students that got their 160 hours and present them with their silver cords, and then they'd be designated in the graduation program as well. So just a way to encourage our students, again, to do that community service out in the community and be seen, be visible. I know we kind of talked about that last meeting a little bit, and that's kind of where I thought to when I found some other schools. Like I said, did lettering, some did some similar to this and stuff like that. So a way for our students to get that recognition, but also just to help and be visible in the community and help out. So, and as you guys see in there, it kind of is prorated with hours, so 40 hours for the upcoming senior class, and then it goes all the way to 160 for starting freshmen. Very self-directed, so it'd be the student's responsibility if they went and helped out somebody, the neighbor, and cut some trees down after a storm or something like that for a couple hours. They'd get that form, they'd have it signed, and then they would just turn it to me, and I'd keep a record of the hours. And if students wanted to check in during the year or whenever, they could see where they're at for hours and work to get that 160 is the goal, and go from there. So that's kind of where I just put some examples, as you see in there, some examples of service activities that count, some that don't, and as you guys know with the examples, they're just examples. There's many other ideas they can and can't do, and I just kind of put in there too, if they've got questions, they come and ask me. And not going to deny it, but I also don't want a kid saying, well, I babysat my brother for
80 hours over the last 2 years, so that should count as service learning because mom and dad didn't pay me. So just making sure that they understand truly what community service and service learning is. And then I'd put that into, and as you see later, I'd add this chunk into our student handbook for the coming year too, so they'd see that. And then if it's approved here, we're gonna send out, in early August, we'll send out an email to all high school students and all high school parents. So they can get this and understand exactly what this is coming out, so they could start preparing for us questions this year.
I appreciate you putting all the time into this information. I think it's great to promote it.
Is there a motion to approve the solar cord service project?
I'll make that motion.
Hopeful second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Tim. Item number 6 is approve a resolution approving the annual update to the 10-year long-term facilities maintenance plan. And there was an enclosure.
It's on page 24 in your board packet, and we're required by law now or by statute to have board approval of the plan. Tony and I, along with Angie Radel, and I mentioned to you in my superintendent's update that Angie will be leaving us this year, and her replacement was down, and so we worked on looking at our long-term facilities maintenance plan. As you probably can gather, after this year, our funding drops off tremendously for that. So we limited any expenses that we anticipated coming forward. So it is a challenge because we don't know what costs are available, and it is quite limiting when it comes to the new school construction, so we're not able to use a lot of those health and safety dollars or long-term facility maintenance dollars for that purpose as well.
Well, we have the services of Mr. Robertson and those people. Couldn't you get some input? I know they're building new, but couldn't you get input from them like you could from a car dealership? When you buy a new car, they're gonna say you should have this much scheduled maintenance. That this would be something you'd look at, so that it's not just a shot in the dark on that overall program.
That's a good point, yeah. We would be glad to enlist Tim's help. As you know, it's a plan, that's what it is. You have the right to amend it at any time, so I'm fairly confident that we have some things in place that I certainly can agree with you that your suggestion to involve Tim, because he has some expertise there that would assist us in looking forward in the future on that. So we'd certainly involve him in the process.
Is anyone ready to make a motion to approve the resolution for the annual update of the 10-year long-term facilities maintenance plan?
Hall makes a motion.
Is there a second?
Second by Linder.
Is there any further discussion?
When do we discuss this again? Is this annual?
It's annual, yeah.
Okay.
We'll have a roll call vote on this item.
Valerie Howe,
Aye.
Joyce Iverson,
Aye.
Julie Cope, aye. John Linder,
Aye.
Dean Miro,
Aye.
Taylor Peterson,
Aye.
John Pettit.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 7, to appoint Laura Hahn as assistant clerk to assist with the school board election process.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Hopeful second.
Any further discussion?
I just had one comment to make, and that was when I was reading it over, the application to become a board member. I was wondering why we require the candidate to pay for the background check when they don't even get a copy of it or anything. We're the ones that want to know about it, and I don't think $4 or $5 $20 bills would break us if we paid for it. We took that off of the people, or is there something that requires us to charge that extra fee?
Is this been in place for something?
Yes, I would have to just say that I would check with MSBA and make sure that we're in compliance with that. That's all I can offer you this evening.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of appointing
Joyce?
Laura Hahn as assistant?
If-
I'm sorry.
If Mr. Ayler checks with MSBA and it's found out that we can pay that $15 or $20 or whatever it was for the background check, can that be amended after we approve what we're approving tonight, so we don't have to wait until the August meeting to put the notification out that filing will be open?
I'm sorry, I did jump ahead 1 to 8. Is really what I was discussing.
Oh, 8, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not discussing this with Laura. I jumped ahead one.
Oh.
That's where I saw the application.
Okay,
Okay.
I should have got that.
So we'll refrain from any additional discussion on that and move forward with the motion that is in front of you to approve Laura as the assistant clerk.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Thank you.
I would recommend on item number 8 now is to approve the resolution establishing dates. To include that in your motion, Taylor, to move that upon approval or getting clarification from MSBA that if the school district is allowed to pay the background check, we would move forward with paying for the background check.
Okay, I would amend the motion to include that.
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this matter? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Valerie Howe,
Aye.
Joyce Iverson,
Aye.
Julie Cope, John Linder,
Aye.
Dean Mero,
Aye.
Taylor Peterson,
Aye.
John Pettit.
Aye.
Item number 9, to approve the proposal for the construction of a baseball field press box. And Dan Milsnow, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, please. Thank you. I think you guys have the handout of information there. I gave as much as I have on that. For everyone else, what is the project? The project would be an 18-foot by 12-foot, 2-story press box that we built next to the home dugout along the third base line down by the baseball field. The first floor of the press box will be used for maintenance of field material, equipment, and potentially even having concessions if it's okay with administration, Mr. Beaverdorf. The second floor would be used then to announce the games, also to have potentially video set up like it is for basketball games, so you can watch it from home if you're elderly or something like that, you can't make it to the games. And then there'd be a sound system that would be set up where the games would be announced as well. As far as why is there a need there, kind of comparing baseball to a lot of the other sports. If you go to a football game, there of course is a press box and a sound system that recognizes everybody, same thing for track. If you go to a boys or girls basketball game or a wrestling match or dance line, they all have the same capabilities. If you go to a softball game, they have a press box as well. And so we're kind of, wanting to get involved with that as well. As far as other needs, as Mr. Petty, there's a need for storage all the time with all the different equipment. As it is right now, we do have one storage shed that's available for us, but when it comes to the winter time and storing all of our different screens and things like that, a lot of them kind of get spread all over the place, and we have to try to track them down in the springtime. This would give us enough space to keep not just our equipment, but also some of the field maintenance equipment that is currently stored in the mower shed, get that out of their way, and that way it'd be right next to the baseball field, easier for the janitors to be able to use all that stuff instead of having to go back and forth there. The second floor, like I said, would be allowed, or would be used to announce games, would just improve the experience for both players and fans, being able to understand who's playing where, because all the time I have parents ask me what kids are, because they have no idea, because they can't see that far. Also, the subsection tournament is looking to rotate sites, leaving Winona State, and we kind of thrown our hat into the ring along with Lewiston and potentially Wabasha. If we have the press box built, that would pretty much give us a sure bet to be able to host a subsection tournament, which would then bring money, of course, into Rushford during that subsection weekend, which brings a few hundred people to those games. And then also in comparison for other schools, just in the Three Rivers Conference that already have press boxes or are in the process this summer of constructing press boxes. The Crescent, Collier, St. Charles, Plainview, Chatfield, Lewiston, and Fillmore all have press boxes or are building them this summer as we speak, so it's not like a luxury that only we would have. As far as the cost goes, and I suppose I should give you a little history, we've been looking at doing this for over 2 years now. And 2 years ago I came with a plan to Mr. Ayler where the dimensions were 26 feet by 12 feet, and at that time we got together and looked at and crunched the numbers, and Mr. Ayler and I agreed that the cost it wasn't enough to be able to take to the board. It was too high, and it was not in our best interest at that time to ask for the board. So we scaled down the size as much as we possibly could to be able to essentially create a 2-story building. And so that's where you have the quotes in front of you there. I think you have that handout as well. We attempted to keep as many of the businesses local as possible. Though that's a rough quote list, we have not said to any of those businesses we're going with you for absolutely sure. We just want to get an idea on what that stuff costed as well. And I think part of that is that I do have a handful of people who are volunteering their effort and labor that will help cut the cost down. So when you look at that number, that's the absolute highest. I can guarantee you that it's going to be. In fact, working with Corey Baker, he's really told us that if you can get enough volunteer labor, he'll cut his costs down to half, if not more than that, if we have guys that will just come in and do it. And I already have people who have said, yep, we'll come in and help you construct it. So those costs should be considerably lower, at least for sure not any higher than what you see there in front of you as well. And as far as completion of the project, in talking with Corey, he says that if this board approves it tonight, we could move forward and have it done within 2 weeks, as long as the CMS can come down and have their inspections. As sometimes it's hard to kind of plan when they can come down and inspect things and stuff like that, but he sees no problem getting it done before the school year begins.
I think this would be also good for the Silver Court project.
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yep. We would definitely welcome any students helping with that. We mentioned to our baseball players.
Another idea I had also when it came to Corey Baker, who I get along with great and I like a lot, was possibly even, I don't know if they still have it in the shop class, doing some of the construction anyway, get their hands wet. And then the electrical work too, I don't know how complex the speakers and sound system is or whatever, but maybe Kobe's electrical class could step in with that as well.
Yep, and I think the only hang up I saw with that is that there has to be some licensed person that kind of oversees it a little bit, and I'm not sure on how that works with Colby's licensure and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we'd absolutely, be willing to work with those guys as well. And I should make sure I mention as well that the Booster Club has said that they'll contribute $5,000 towards the project as well. So take that into consideration too.
I realize the softball field isn't by the baseball field, but is there room if they need to store anything for winter? You know, like you were saying, will there be any extra room for them? I don't know where they currently store their stuff. It might be all over the place as well.
Yeah, I would imagine that there would be enough room if the structure gets built to be able to store additional things. You know, I don't know the long-term plan for the softball equipment, where that all is gonna go, but I would see that we'd be able to definitely share some stuff there.
Yeah, currently there's this storage, a lower press box in Peterson.
Right.
But
But will that be?
in the future, yes, that would depend on facility, if there's a softball field here versus there. So
Okay.
we would explore that then.
I have a question. How does this fit into our budget? If we had made the arrangements for this, and projected for this in our previous budget?
In conversations with Tony, when we put our budget together, yes, and if necessary, we can amend it to reflect this project as well. So we're confident that we can handle this expense of the construction of the new press box.
I do agree that it's important to have this for the baseball team too, because you're exactly right. Football has it, track has it, basketball has it. You know.
Yeah, as a part of it, when you're walking on Friday nights to a football game, you know it's a big deal because you know you can hear it. Yeah, you can hear it, right? Exactly, and so I'm kind of trying to bring that same thing to the
Yeah.
baseball field.
Yeah, so I do agree with that.
And if we take out the 5,000 that Booster Club is donating, then our actual cost for the school district would be 17,222 minus
Right.
volunteer labor. et
Right,
cetera.
yep.
Okay.
Is Corey going to be the general contractor for this, and he'll be soliciting the bids from other, say, electricians or?
He can, you know, so far we just went to Norman's Electric and the blueprints and asked them, you know, what they thought it would be. But yeah, we could definitely go through Corey. And there is some talk that's, even some local electricians would say, kind of like what Taylor was mentioning, because we know some people that could say they would be the person who would be signed. We could have some amateurs, right, where people wire it and they would then oversee it to help cut on that cost.
And we did have a lot of that when we put up the scoreboard and lighting, and that helped
Yeah, because
considerably from what this estimate was.
yeah, looking at the Norman's quote, because I think out of the $1,400, like 1,000 of it is labor, so that'd be one way to cut down on the size of what's out there.
But to your question, yes, he would be the general, working with CMS to get the initial permits, to take us through all the paperwork necessary to complete the project.
Is there a motion to approve the proposal for the construction of a baseball field press box?
Who will make that motion?
Oh, second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor of this proposal?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item number 10, Chuck, please.
Yes, I'm going to ask the board to table that for the August board meeting. The gentleman that was supposed to have been here and taken a close look at the tuck pointing was not able to do that other than via pictures, and I'm not comfortable with that, so I want him to come on site. So I'm going to ask you to table that until the August 15th board meeting.
Should we have a motion on
So
that?
moved.
Second?
Second by Hal.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 11, review and accept the transportation quotes and award the contract for bus transportation for the 2016-2017 and 2017-2018 school years. And you have a handout for that.
I'll just make everyone aware that we did go out and do a request for proposals and met with the safety committee, and they were present when we opened our quotes. And as Pat Regan has indicated to you here this evening, they've served us for the past 6 years, and in light of their service and the years that we've had with them, we'd ask the board to take into consideration their proposal that they presented to you during their public comments here this evening.
Mr. Rayler, do Pat and the other gentleman know how this all came about, how we went through from carrying over the other 2 years, I believe it was, 2 or 3 years, that we had agreed to the last time it was bid, and then through the request for quote and all that?
Taylor is mentioning, and correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, is that originally we had a 2-year agreement with Ready Bus, and then in the process of purchasing that, Minnesota Coach came in and they kept the name in place, and then we were able to, as a part of the clause in that contract, was to negotiate a second 2-year agreement. So that's why you're looking this evening at, or as Pat indicated to you, the years of service that they've provided to you.
And then I guess with Ready's proposal, Minnesota Coach's proposal, before the meeting tonight, I'm getting kind of worried that we'll get ourselves in a little bit of a quarrel here with everybody, between the two Boston companies, between, I don't know, I guess, what other people's thoughts are.
I move that we accept the Bernard Bus and award them the contract for both 16 through 2018.
To Bernard Bus?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion? Dean?
Second.
Thank you.
Have we had any complaints with Ready Bus over the past 6 years?
We have not, no. Their service record to us is exemplary.
And have any of the previous charges ever been questionable, or they stuck to their word on?
They've been great to work with any time that we have variability coming up, for example, boys going to the state tournament, etc. So they've been excellent to work with in that regard.
Just if I may, I'm sorry about that. I think Mike Bernard is in South Africa, so he's not able to attend probably. And I find it a little alarming that that Ready is willing to sharpen the pencil now after we open the bids. I'll also add that Mike Bernard patronizes Rushford and does business in Rushford. So, I mean, that should weigh in as well.
And I'll just follow up with what Dean has shared prior to Ready Bus Minnesota Coach. Mike was the service provider for us, and we were with him for 18 years, so I concur with what Dean is saying as well.
Is there a
Yes,
time?
I would like, we have a committee process here, and I prefer to the judgment of the committee members, the transportation committee, and I know they put a lot of time into it. It'd be nice, if you have any other comments, is there a possibility to continue it? If it sounds like there were some changes tonight, or at least a proposal that hadn't been previously presented, is that something that we would want to continue that and see if there's any further proposals?
That's what I was going to ask, if there was a time frame we had to have the decision.
I believe the Transportation Committee advertised for proposals.
We did.
And then you set a date for opening, and you opened them. And so it seems to me that the numbers you looked at when you opened the bids should be the ones that we made our decision upon.
One thing I'd like to add too is in the next transportation contract, if we could look at either taking out the clause that, meet by a certain day and discuss further options, whatever. Because like has happened now, we had some misunderstandings or miscommunications on the date we were supposed to meet by and all that stuff, which brought us back to the request for bid or proposals. I think if we leave that out, it's going to leave it a little more competitive, to rebid it every 2 or 3 years or whatever, without complicating the matter further.
You were talking about a 5% for employees, what was that?
That is our profit sharing plan.
And,
Contribution from our company to every employee. 5% of their gross annual wages is contributed by the company. That takes a 3-year vesting program. That's why we introduce that now. After when we purchase a company like that, there's a couple year lag time, and we just passed out those statements for all of the Ready Bus Company employees this spring now at the end of this school year. That's the lag time is based on the federal ERISA laws.
yeah.
So,
Did Bernard have any of that?
I guess I'd just like to echo what Joyce said. We went through the process, we advertised it, we received the bids, we opened the bids, we crunched it out for we're saving roughly, $12,000 for first year, 20 fuel charges are less. The overages on surplus fuel doesn't kick in as fast for Bernard as Ready. Again, like Bernard cannot be here, he's installed that over does business in Rushford.
And when you do advertise for proposals, everyone gets the same information, and you always set a deadline. So I don't feel that we can go back on that.
The board does have every right, though, to negotiate with, as an RFP is laid out. It's not a bid, it's an actual request for proposals, so the board has every right to negotiate with those that do submit bids.
And I'll go back to my earlier comment that Mike Bernard cannot be present at the meeting.
We do have a motion on the floor. Are there any further comments of the board?
Carol Wilson.
We already have a motion.
All in favor?
Can you reiterate what was the motion?
The motion was to accept the transportation quotes and award the contract for bus transportation for 2016, 2017, and 2017-18 to Bernard Bus Company. Is that correct? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Item number 12, to approve meal prices for the 2016-2017 school year.
In your packet, we gave you the numbers, and if you recall, back in May, we moved the adult prices from $370 to $380, so we would continue that through the upcoming school year. In addition to that, we would recommend raising the price of 5 cents for lunch and breakfast for our students.
Did I read somewhere where these prices are mandated that we had these?
The federal USDA and working through that program, yes, they have guidelines that we adhere to, and Tony and I crunched the numbers, and we're where we're supposed to be with the 5 cent raise.
Essentially, that program has to pay for itself.
Essentially, yes.
Is there a motion to approve the prices, meal prices proposed for the 2016-2017 school year? A second?
Second.
I was gonna say, I think last year we had comparisons from other schools, and we're right on with everybody in the area, right?
Yes, we are. We're in very close proximity. We do a comparison with all school districts, and so we're able to do that.
Well, certainly $3.80 for an adult lunch is
Very reasonable.
ridiculously low.
Is there a motion to approve?
There's a motion to
I'll
approve, yeah.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? If I may back up, the motion was made by Court and seconded by Mary.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Motion carries. Number 13, approve the 2015-2017 contract and salary for Lisa Lawson, Community Education Director.
Need to make a correction in your packet, on page 29 of your packet, for the RP amount, that please cross out that number that is there and insert 49096.96. Apologize for the error in that number. For the salaries that you're going to be discussing, not only Mrs. Lawson's, but the other ones that will follow this, we do some comparison data with other school districts. The unique thing for each school district is that everybody has different duties and responsibilities. So again, those are to give you an idea that we're somewhere in the same league as some of the other school districts and some of the other programs. The unique thing for community ed programs is we're one of 3 school districts that has a very vibrant and active program, and a lot of that is due to the leadership of the program. And in Lisa's case, that's very true. And so it's hard to compare apples to apples here or oranges to oranges. And so in working with her and in our conversations and discussions, and in fairness to her, I'm proposing to you the recommendation that you have in front of you this evening.
Is there a motion to approve the contract and salary for Lisa Lawson for 2015 through 2017?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Does that's what we're speaking of include these 10 or 20 extra days?
It does, yes.
And so she would be up at 214?
I'm sorry.
14 days now?
218.
218, she'd go from where she's currently at now to 218-day contract.
On page 3.
Is there any further discussion?
Do we have, what is the fund balance?
Again, we've, Tony and I have allowed for the salaries that we're proposing to you this evening that is reflective of what we had budgeted for.
Well, I think that the percentages that I was reading, I don't find them now, they're in here somewhere. But they were rather high compared to what we were offering the rest of the staff and employees at first glance. Plus, hers are, Lisa's are with extra days, of course, too, and I think that means something. I think I looked at one of them that was, had some comparisons with La Crescent and somebody else. La Crescent had 220 days and a comparable salary, I think. Of course, they have a hockey arena and a lot of big-time stuff over there also that I think would require a bunch of time.
And one of the unique things for us as well, as long as you bring that up, Director Pettit, is that we're one of the few school districts that embraces the summer program, summer rec program. And so that facilitates the need for extra days there as well. So please note that on her contract, we're expanding those days. We're actually, through the next 2 contract, we would be going and adding 24 additional days to our contract. And as John indicated, that changes the percentages rather significantly.
Is there further discussion on this motion? All in favor of approving the 2015-2017 contract and salary for Lisa Loston?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item number 14 is to approve the 2015-2017 contracts and salaries for the following district personnel: Tony Oyen, business manager; Laura Hahn, accounting clerk; Chris Kingsley, administrative assistant; and Corey Madsen, technology director. And you had a comparison to those positions as well.
I did, and they are on page 31 of 33 in your board packet. So I invite you to take a look at those. And again, our goal is to make sure that we are in close proximity to what other school districts are offering within the Three Rivers Conference.
RFP, here we go.
Make this motion to approve.
Motion by Colt, is there a second? Is there any further discussion?
Well, once again, I do want to know that. I think these are much higher than what we worked with the other staff, and so being a couple of teacher negotiators are present, I think we're going to have some new questions to answer when we're moving to the top rather than trying to move to the middle. We're trying to get even with the top on these as I'm looking at it, and instead of going to the middle. So I think that's going to, accepting these is going to create some more discussion.
But I also think that these positions have put in their salaries, correct?
Correct.
They've been putting in a lot of hours, I bet you over 40 hours in the last few years for sure. And I don't see that changing in the near future. And Mr. Manson's hours with the new building and stuff, I mean, they're putting in a lot more hours, I think, than they have in the past.
And we did take the opportunity to put together the averages there. So we are trying to shoot for that middle range for our employees. And yes, in some cases, we might be on the upper end of those. But again, you know, we're in a position where we have people that are doing an excellent job for us, and we feel it's important that they should be compensated for what they're providing to the school district.
Is there any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I think we're ready for the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'm glad to provide that to you. On page 34 of your board packet is just a note there, and I will tell you that I had the pleasure this weekend of working with a number of classes that held their class reunions, and so that's always rewarding to provide people the opportunity to come and look at the facilities. The class of 1966 was here for their 50th, and that was on June 24th through the 26th. And then the class of 76 celebrated, 96 celebrated as well, 1991, and I left out that 1981 was here as well. So I want to take this opportunity to include those in my list, and they celebrated their reunion over the weekend, and we're here for a walkthrough on Sunday. So glad again to provide those opportunities to our alumni, and certainly appreciate their interest and their feedback and for sharing their stories and their memories with me. So I find that very rewarding. Also, during that class reunion for 1966, we were the recipients of a donation from Liz Howe. She is a member of that class. She donated to us a George Washington and Abraham Lincoln picture. And these were originally hung in the Bridge Creek Country School. And she made those donations to us on behalf of her late husband, Ken Howe, and his parents, Walter and Gladys Howe. As I indicated to you earlier tonight in the board meeting, IEA Environmental Assessments, Angie Radel has been our representative and has accepted a different position within IEA. And Dan Fitch will be replacing her, and as I indicated to you, he has already been here for a tour July 7th, and very confident that Dan will do a good job of making the transition into assisting us with our health and safety and environmental needs. I just want to take this opportunity tonight under the new school update to extend my thanks and appreciation to Tim. I have the opportunity to working very closely with him. What's rewarding is that he and I are pretty much on the same page, and so it's really beneficial that when we get into our construction meetings and we're advocating for some things that we feel are beneficial. So I want to just the board to be aware of just the excellent job that he's doing on behalf of the new school. So Tim, personal note for me, thank you for all that you're doing and keep up the good work. Awesome. Health insurance for our non-teaching staff, as you may or may not know, those individuals are covered through Southeast Service Cooperative, their pool for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and we will be facing a rate increase there of approximately 7.5% this upcoming school year. And the summer meals program, we were up for an inspection, and that took place last Thursday, and Melissa Elders was here, completed the review of our summer meals program. We received a very favorable review, and she was extremely appreciative of the program that we have in place and was impressed by the number of students and families that we're serving. So a great big thank you to Joyce and our kitchen staff and to Tony for making sure that we're in compliance as well as exceeding in the expectations for our summer meals program. And I want to update you this evening on the reuse and repurpose of the elementary and the high school buildings. We welcome Tony Cheldick of Rushford, the city of Rushford, the new city administrator for the city of Rushford, and brought him up to speed in regards to some of the conversations that had taken place with Steve Sarvey, the former administrator, and so Tony has rolled up his sleeve and joined right in, and we have moved forward with several meetings, and we'll continue to meet, and just want you to know that that's on the burner, and we're continuing to move forward with that as well. So on that note, I'll entertain any questions or concerns that you as board members may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, the education report?
Yep. We're just finishing up some of our baseball, traveling ball programs, and then we'll have our youth soccer start next week, which we have about 80 children signed up for that, which is the largest group we've had in a long time. So thank you to our booster club. They did come through with a $1,000 donation to help us purchase some soccer balls and help us to offset some costs for our wages, because we'll have to hire staff, which is a good problem to have, but also they came through for us. So, and that's a wonderful donation. Lego Robotics, all our STEM programs start the first week of August, so that'll be up and coming. That's four different classes. We have Robotics 1, 2, and 3, and then Nature Watch. Other grants we received and that I'm working on is that $37,500 for the Pathways 2 scholarship. That is determine this next month when I work on our preschool, with our preschool parents, and how that gets separated out with the different children that qualify. And then Summer Kids Club highlights, we averaged 32 kids a day this last month, which is down 2 children from last year at this time, so we averaged 34 last year, so still staying pretty strong in that program. And then Kenny Kingsley has continued to been helping us out this summer with transporting our kids, so. Special recognition and thanks to both Jill Rasmussen and Holly Eckern. I mean, I couldn't do this awesome program that we have this summer without them, so. And then our preschool packets, we're working on that along with our back to school, if you can believe it. I'm working on the newsletter, and that'll be going out to the printer on the 28th, so.
Any questions or comments? Thank you. Mr. Kim?
Thank you. Just a couple handbook updates, highlights there in the past. I know we normally had to get student handbook updates this month, and I didn't really have too many changes, so I just had a couple there. And after speaking with Mr. Ayler last week, I think he wants to give you guys an actual handbook before the next month, so you guys can actually look through the entire handbook this year instead of just some of the updates, because I think it was, I don't think I've ever done a whole handbook to you guys as new members, just you can see the whole, at least the high school handbook. I think the elementary and middle school the same way, kind of see it and go through it. So, but what I will be adding to it will be the Silver Card program, which we discussed, our acceptable use policy, which I think was board approved 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We had Dan and Corey kind of work on it then, and I know they've been working to update it with the one-to-one initiative, so that language will get in there as well for parents. And then just an update on the one-to-one initiative, we kind of talked earlier about it. We have 2 parent meetings scheduled. Our first one is actually this Thursday, the 21st at 6:30, and then Wednesday the 17th. We have a representative from Best Buy who will be there to kind of explain the program to the parents, explain what they're purchasing, how the warranty works, how it all works together with us. And then the website that we have will go live on Friday the 19th for parents to buy laptops or to buy the Chromebooks as needed. Corey, Dan, Mr. Ayler, and myself met last week. We kind of discussed some of those families that can't afford, even with the $100 coupon, it comes down to $99. Basically, they can't afford $99. And we kind of looked at other schools. We did this as well. We're currently formulating leasing options. So instead of a purchase it outright, where a student would just have it, it's theirs, they get it, it goes home with them. They can lease it / rent it from the school for a price where it would be theirs for the entire school year. And at the end of the school year, they turn it back in. So having some devices and set up a plan along with that route, so families could, we try to get as many families as we can that opportunity to have the device. Also, like we talked earlier, families are more than welcome to, and students are more than welcome to bring in their own device. So a parent has a laptop sitting at home, or they purchased one here, they found a better deal, or sister has one, something like that, more than willing to bring those in, and that's addressed in the acceptable use policy, where as a school, we'll make sure that they get hooked to Wi-Fi, stuff like that. So we'll go through all those to try to get as many students and devices in students' hands as possible. And I know our staff, we talked about this last year, but before we brought it to the board, I know in June it was brought to the board. In May, we had a staff meeting with high school staff to just kind of go over it, address questions, concerns, and they were kind of starting to plan in their heads for if it did get approved, how would they start to change their classes, stuff like that. And I know that a lot of them were on board once it got approved. I sent out an email the next day telling them to, if they're doing staff summer writing, curriculum writing, please use that. If they need to contact Dan as we go into the fall, so they're on board with starting to do that. And it's one of those, as I've talked before with Mr. Melzer being here, one of his classes with that Flex Friday stuff. I know he did a lot with that on there, and talking to him and Mrs. Thompson, I know that they both were very excited with the idea that the students would have each their own device, even more that they could do with technology. So as anything in education, it's going to be a learning process. We know there's going to be bumps in the road. We know that there's going to be all those things that go with a brand new program, a new initiative for us. But our staff is willing to go through those bumps, and we've got Dan and Corey who are doing lots of research on the back end to make sure. So just, that's an update I can give you on it. I'll try each month as we get going to give you just a little update on the one-to-one too, so we can keep growing it and make sure it doesn't become a $100 paperweight for the students, and that it doesn't get used and we get frustrated. So, but that's what I have.
I do know, I
my sister's school, when they did this type of initiative, they had where the students, some students couldn't afford it as well, and some of the parents made donations, and not necessarily, I mean, some of them provided like the $99 to the school, so the school could distribute it to somebody who might need it. But she said they also took donations, so like if parents had an extra $25, they kind of just put it in a pool just to help the students without any names and anything, so.
And I know that's where, and as Mr. Taylor talked earlier about the Angel Fund, we've used that on different occasions for some of these type of things where students couldn't afford things as well. And I know like we've talked, or he's brought up, some families struggle with that feeling of a handout. So how we've used the Angel Fund, and every family has been very supportive, is they give back to the school. They do community service to the school for X number of hours based on a pay rate, and almost every family has been very appreciative of the fact that they feel that their students are earning the money from the school to do it. So that's another way that we have out there to support the families. So we're
I'm not familiar with the Angel Fund. I've heard of it in a sense about the community, but.
It's put together by our Rushford Peterson Foundation, and one of the things that we have encountered, and I've encountered since I've been here, is that there are families sometimes that are in need of just assistance, and so they kind of caught on, and we've had other people that are aware of it, and we've been fortunate to have received some anonymous contributions to that fund, and we have families that recognize just what we're talking about here tonight, that other families aren't as fortunate and are challenged, and so we're able to make those things available to them, and this provides an avenue for us. And it can cover all things. It can go from class trips to driver's education to anything that confronts a family that's maybe experiencing some special needs or just special situations that need consideration.
I'm sorry, I didn't know about it before.
Well, we're very fortunate, and we're somewhat cautious to get it out there in front of the public as well, because we kind of give word of mouth for the program, but it's very beneficial, and we're grateful and thankful that it's in place.
Thank you, Mr. Dan?
Yep, mine's a pretty short report on the final page of your packet. Just wanted to reiterate what our gate prices, athletic passes are. Nothing's changing from the Three Rivers Conference standpoint, so I did not make any recommendations to change. Just wanted to note out that we have the student pass, the adult pass, and then 2 years ago we added the family pass, which has been very well received. The way it works out, if you do the numbers on there, 2 adults and 1 child, pretty much if you have more children than that, they're all going to get in for that same cost, and trying to encourage the families to come out and support our athletic programs. And they've done a great job, and they've been very appreciative that at the time, we were, I think, the 4th school out of the 13 in our Three Rivers Conference to offer that, and now additional schools have added on to that as well, knowing that it's been that popular. Our participation fees are staying the same as well, $35 for junior high, $60 for high school, and a $250 cap, which when we did a school comparison keeps us very competitive, if not on the lower end of the Three Rivers Conference for that. You can see on there we're going to be closing the gym floor now that we just finished up Rushford Days basketball. I guess I can note that real quick. We have 46 participants play on the 3-on-3 as part of Rushford Days there. Another 50 plus students participate in this kind of the elementary, middle school, and high school shooting contest. Another way to get them in the building, get them excited, and get them active. Heard numerous compliments from community members, both locally as well as outside of our direct community, saying, hey, that's a great activity that the school has allowed us to participate or offer to them. So, and now that's going to be closed for resurfacing or reconditioning, waxing, whatever, the gym floor. Parent-student eligibility night, that has been set for August 11th, so that's coming up. We'll get the notice out on the website, all of that. And then also new this year is going to be online registration. So instead of all of the paperwork, as Julie's looking at me, that you normally fill out for all of your kids, that'll all be done online. So we'll get that message out too. Allows for obviously more efficient tracking of basic state high school league requirements, but then also the emergency contact stuff in the event that an issue happens at a remote site, a coach will be able to readily pull that information up. Where's the parent contact here, insurance information, all that other stuff. So a move that we're making as well for that. And then you can see the different activities that are all starting. The 15th of August will be high school volleyball, high school football, as well as cross country. The following week, junior high football, junior high volleyball, and then got scrimmages dated there. And obviously August is going to get us launched into the busy season. So welcome any questions you guys may have.
If I may, I'm just going to add a couple things to what Dan shared with you. And first one is just a follow-up, and thanks to Dan for his help and assistance with the lighting project that we approved at the last board meeting, the installation of new bulbs. They're here, they came this afternoon, they started on the football field, and we'll complete the project by tomorrow. There's a baseball game being held here tonight, so they held off, and we'll complete that project tomorrow, testing of the bulbs and such. So we're very excited to have that project completed. And as Dan kind of indicated to you, just the overall feel for Rushford Days and the use of our facilities, we're happy to enlist and be a part of that. We hosted the Queen Pageantry last Monday night, and then throughout the festivities, the RASA holds their play here, and so with the school tours, we had everything really fell into place for us. So my compliments to Dan and his group there that hosted the 3-on-3 tournament. As he indicated to you, it's grown over the years, and it's become an integral part of Rushford Days. And so again, we're very thankful and appreciative that we're able to be play an active role in Rushford Days. And of course, the weather really helped out, so it was hopefully a good year for them as well.
Thank you, Dan. Laura asked me to remind everyone to turn in your auditor's disclosure form to Laura or Tony ASAP. You see our next regular board meeting will be Monday, August 15th at 5:30 p.m. In this room. And are there any other items to bring before the board?
Just have a couple comments. One of them is this board packet. It's rather large, cumbersome, and if you take any time to look at it and go through it, receiving it Friday night is just not acceptable. I know that during the superintendent's evaluation, we talked about getting this moved up to Wednesday, and I think it's time that we do that. The other question I have is, when is the live broadcast of the meeting going to be happening? Those are two questions I have for the general public.
Thank you for the input on the board packet, and Laura and I will certainly do our best to get it out to you on Wednesdays. And I'll do some follow-up with Mr. Mattson on seeing about the possibility of creating a live broadcast of our board meetings. Thank you for sharing those with me.
Thank you. I move we adjourn.
A second.
I hear a motion to adjourn. John and Taylor, thank you. The meeting is adjourned.